Today, we've witnessed one of the biggest manipulations in the crypto market that we've seen in recent years. We've seen a drop of more than $4,000 in just 7 minutes. Let's take a look at how this affects the price, how it impacts the market, and what is most likely to happen in the coming hours. So let's start with a Bitcoin analysis. Let's check crypto news to see exactly what happened. And look, today, the drop we've seen, a flash crash, was caused by a whale. A single whale who sold more than 24,000 Bitcoins in just about 7 minutes, all at market price. These whales don't usually sell this way because basically they end up crashing the price on themselves, so it's not profitable to do it like this. But anyway, that's what happened. The price dropped by about 5% or so, and basically, it triggered panic in the market. In fact, as I mentioned, Bitcoin dropped more than $4,500 in just about 7 minutes. We'll see it now on the chart. In any case, this whale has already sold, and well, the worst is over now. Like I said, and we'll see it on the chart, you can really tell when a move is manipulative and when it's a genuine move. You'll see it very clearly on the chart. In any case, this is what happened, and now we'll take a closer look. Anyway, let's go to the investing economic calendar to see what's happening today, whether there's any macroeconomic news or not. We set the charts to 3 stars, and today we can say that new housing data was released. The new housing data came out a little better than expected, but still within the 650,000 range, so there hasn't been any major news. What do we have for tomorrow? We have consumer confidence, which would be interesting if it were above 100, although I doubt it will be above 100. In any case, it's not an extremely relevant figure, so I don't think we'll have any pleasant surprises tomorrow, nor negative surprises, or anything like that. I think it's going to be something quite neutral and, well, it won't provide much information either, so it should be a calm day in theory. Let's skip all of this and go straight to the trading liquidations to see what's happening in the market. And look at what happened today, because it's incredible. I mean, the candle we've had has been absolutely massive, liquidating more than $350 million in long positions. It's insane, right? And if you look here, if you notice in the trading hub, our stop loss got hit because of this candle. You'll see. I'll show you in a moment. But basically, well, you can see here that we've cleared out the whole area we had pending. There's still the area, well, up to the $109,000 zone where there are a few more liquidations. I repeat, these liquidations might seem significant, but they're not as important as, for example, the ones at all-time highs, okay? Notice the difference between the liquidations at all-time highs and the liquidations we have down here. And also remember that aside from the all-time high area, we're also here around 108,000, where there's a huge liquidation zone at 107, 108,000, okay? We can still go and target the 107, 108,000 area. We still can't rule it out, but right now we're between the range of 130, where there's a lot of liquidation, and the area of 107, where there's also a lot of liquidation. In any case, for now, that's all we know about the liquidations, and let's look at it on the Bitcoin chart. Because I'm telling you, we still can't rule out this 106,000 area, even though it doesn't seem likely at the moment, okay? Let's go straight to the Bitcoin analysis on the chart and see what has happened. Take a look here, okay? This is the 1-minute Bitcoin chart. Look at the drop we've had. Notice how Bitcoin has dropped 4%, $4,200 in 6 or 7 minutes. It's been brutal, okay? The drop has been brutal. And as I said, this kind of drop isn't normal. These are manipulated drops at the end of the day, right? Look here. This is a manipulated drop. You can see it clearly. You can tell that obviously this kind of drop isn't normal. Even the rise we had with the Fed was a much more gradual increase. I mean, a super relevant Fed announcement that moved all the markets was a much more gradual rise. And besides being more gradual, it was also a rise that actually kept going up after the announcement, okay? And look at the kind of movement that I'm showing again. The kind of movement we've had was simply 1 candle, 2 candles, and that's it. The move was over in just 2 candles. That implies that it's a manipulated move, a move created by one person or a group of people, okay? But it's not the whole market. In any case, obviously, after those 2 candles, the market kept going up and down, mostly down, but now it started to drop because of panic, okay? Obviously, Bitcoin has broken through the $112,000 zone that we saw as support. It broke it temporarily, but it did break it. A lot of people who had their stop losses below $112,000, like myself in the trading hub, had our stop losses triggered. There was a cascade of liquidations, many people lost money, and panic set in. And all these subsequent drops aren't because of the whale, they're because of people's panic. And now that people are selling and now that people are closing their longs, remember what happens when everything goes short, what happens? Exactly, the market usually bounces back, right? So let's move to the daily chart to take a look at what's important, okay? Something to keep in mind. We're going to repeat the same thing as last week. Have we broken through $112,000 on the daily chart? No, not even with a whale manipulating the price have we managed to break the support. If we manage to break the support, if we close daily candles below 111,500, for example, this whole area around here, then yes, Bitcoin will be bearish and we can expect drops to 107. For now, nothing has changed on the daily chart, absolutely nothing, so we remain bullish and we stay at the support. In fact, in the trading hub, we've opened 2 more signals and I'm going to show them to you because basically we have some open signals. We currently have a long position in both Ether and Bitcoin and we're already in profit on both trades. We're going to keep holding these longs. Obviously, there's a possibility that Bitcoin at this point could have another liquidation downward that ends up breaking the support and goes to 106, 107. It's likely, it's possible. Okay? Likely, maybe not so much, but possible, yes it is. That's why we always protect ourselves with a stop loss. But I repeat, nothing has changed on the daily chart. There was a wick below 112, but we haven't closed any daily candle below 112. So fear shouldn't be in the market yet, okay? 4-hour chart, what does it look like? Here, on the 4-hour chart, notice that we have indeed broken below 112,000. But be careful, the 112,000 support isn't a 4-hour support, it's a daily chart support. We need to close daily candles, not 4-hour ones. That's a very common mistake among analysts. If you draw a support line on the 4-hour chart, for example, you can't expect a 1-minute candle closing below it to mean it's been broken. You need to close a candle in the same time frame where you drew it, which in this case was the daily chart, okay? So what we've clearly had here is a trap, a false breakout of this level, so that everyone who had the 212,000 level marked as watch out, this is the support, would say we've broken downwards. And since we've broken downwards, well, we're going to 106. Well, no, we're not going to 106, people. We're not going to 106. We're losing strength. We've had the false breakout. We've recovered the 112 level. And as long as we finish today above 112 and tomorrow's candle closes above 112, we're still good. Obviously, we're making lower and lower highs each time, right? So it's possible that we might hit a ceiling around the 115,000, 116,000 area or so, okay? It's possible that we won't surpass 116,500 where this moving average is, but now an upward move toward those 115, 116 seems quite likely to me. So, especially after this trap, once we reach this area here, we'll decide whether Bitcoin manages to change the trend on the 4-hour chart and start making higher highs each time, or if on the other hand, what could also happen is that from here, we make another attempt downward and then actually manage to break the support. I don't think that's the most likely scenario, but just so you know, it could happen, okay? Apart from all this about the 4-hour chart, look at what we have here. What do we have on the gap chart? Well, I said it. What do we have on the CME chart? On the CME futures? Exactly, we have a huge gap in the futures. A huge futures gap that goes from 113,000 to 116, almost 117,000, okay? We're talking about Bitcoin needing to rise from the current price by about 3.5% to close the futures gap. So that's also a very important factor that I think will affect the price. The very important part I'm talking about is that Bitcoin rises to 116,400, keeps going up a bit more, and closes the futures gap. Closes that futures gap, well, around that 117,000 area. From here on, we'll see what happens, obviously, okay? But going to close the gap, it looks like it's going to close the gap. Especially looking at the MACD, seeing the fake breakout, seeing that everyone is very bearish and afraid, this is the moment to bounce. And that's why we're in a long position in the trading hub, okay? 1-hour chart to finish with Bitcoin. Look, the MACD has just crossed upwards. This fake breakout we've seen, the RSI as well, even with some bullish divergence, I want you to see it. Here we obviously have the price going down and the RSI going up. It's normal for us to see bounces, and it's normal for those bounces to reach at least 115, even 116, 117. They can easily reach those levels, and in fact, I'm going to show you. I have some longs open apart from the signal we've sent. So, well, just so you know, in the short term, this looks like a bounce. Let's take a look at some of the altcoins, how they're doing right now. So let's see. For example, Ether. What happened with Ether? Notice that Ether hasn't dropped as much as Bitcoin has. Obviously, it did drop, but the manipulative candle at 9 o'clock at night was mainly in Bitcoin. In Ether, it was also a big candle, but not as manipulated. Link, notice, also had a manipulated candle, but not as big. The manipulation happened in Bitcoin. Then obviously, this manipulation has also taken down the altcoins because when Bitcoin falls, everything falls. But in any case, even though the altcoins are correcting, they're correcting out of fear. And they're correcting because of a fear that was sparked by a whale who sold 24,000 Bitcoins in about 5 minutes, okay? So yes, many of the altcoins have dropped a lot. And in fact, this is one of the opportunities we were waiting for to start buying to keep increasing our cycle longs and so on and so on. Our cycle longs are still in profit. Keep in mind that our cycle longs, in this case, we opened them here the week of August 6th or 7th. For example, radium. Radium still has to drop another 21% for us to break even, okay? So we're still doing very well, and that's how we're going to keep going, all right? In any case, as I said, most altcoins have been falling. Bitcoin dominance, in fact, had been plummeting until basically yesterday afternoon. Once we had the Bitcoin crash, the altcoins have been suffering even more. But anyway, everything still points to Bitcoin dominance continuing to fall. And now once Bitcoin recovers a bit from all this market fear, when people see that in the next 24 to 48 hours, we don't break the support and that Bitcoin remains strong, remains stable, that's when the buying will start coming in, okay? And when the buying starts coming into Bitcoin, can you guess what's going to happen? A lot of capital is also going to move into the altcoins. So, for now, just notice that most altcoins have been dropping a lot, and many are already forming divergences. For example, look here at Pepe, bullish divergences on the RSI. Also, on the MACD, we already have oversold conditions on all the altcoins, I'd say, on the 1 hour chart. And, well, just as a rebound is coming for Bitcoin to the 1 to 17 area to close the gap, many of these altcoins are going to be recovering over the next few days. It's something that will take a little time, but as I said, over the next few days, we will start to see some interesting upward moves. Many of the altcoins were performing extremely well right before the crash, and well, from here they've already liquidated absolutely all the longs. And now that there are no longs, it's actually the right time to go long. Alright, let's move straight to BitGet. I'm going to show you a bit of what I currently have open. What I currently have open is this. Take a look. For example, I have a long here on Bitcoin and a long here on Ether. Well, we're in these longs here and we'll keep increasing our long positions in case Bitcoin ends up dropping a bit more. I've also taken advantage of this, which is already a bit more long-term, okay? But in my traditional investment portfolio, I took the opportunity to try out and also buy the Bitcoin ETF, and I bought a bit of the Bitcoin ETF, about $6,000 more or less. And right now, my portfolio consists of treasury bonds and the Bitcoin ETF. Well, it's simply because I'm experimenting with some ETFs so I can show them to you as best as possible, okay? So, well, look, my portfolio has grown by 0.46% today, mainly thanks to that ETF. So, well, no, we're going to stay long. When I say that, I don't think the support will break. I put my money there too. I mean, I'm buying at these levels. I'm buying people's fear. So, well, I think this is interesting and important to see. And as I said, especially also in the trading hub, it's important because we keep increasing our positions. Even if we've hit a stop loss, absolutely nothing happens, okay? There was some strange movement. Our stop loss was triggered. It's something normal, something that happens sometimes. A move like this, manipulative, it doesn't happen very often, but a couple of times a year, it does happen. And well, we will keep trying to take advantage of people's fear going long and staying long. Remember that the trading hub is completely free. You just register with any of the free links you have in the description and you get access to that trading hub, and you have access not only to trading signals but also to liquidation maps, market sentiment, economic calendar, quite a few important things, opportunities in altcoins that we can see. Well, I share all kinds of free information for you. Well, you support me by registering with the link and I give you access to all of that. You have all the information in the description. I highly recommend you read it and watch the explanatory video if you don't understand. So, well, that's it. Not much more to say. This is today's video. I hope you liked it and found it interesting. And above all that, it helped calm things down a bit and that you also understand a little about the movement that has happened and why it happened. So, well, nothing has changed yet. We're still exactly the same and we'll see in the coming days whether we break the support or not. I'd like to know what you all think. Will we break the support or won't we manage to break it? I'm already taking my position and I think it's pretty clear. So that's it. See you in the next video. See you soon, everyone, and goodbye.